All right. Okay. All right. So we know how to acquire many skills by imitation in RL. And these skills require using like these legs. Okay. Oh, oops. Somehow it's not really playing right. Let's see. Maybe the okay. Maybe I shouldn't have mirrored. Okay, let's see. Oh no, the video is not really playing well. Yeah. Okay, well, there's that dog robot does a really cool thing, goes over that thing with his legs. Okay, but a lot of the limitations are that existing motion tracking method can now actually track a lot of different diverse objectives. Okay, this was really hard in 2017. I was working with Jason Peng and I was like, this is policy just does one thing? I'm like, why can't you actually tell the policy like what to do? And it was like super hard in 2017. And like Jason was like the only person who could like optimize RL. Okay, now it's much better. So like now you have all of these things where you can give in different references. But then the environment is really kind of more like these hand-tuned kind of things. You design this, environment in the world. It's not really like the environment that we have. Even though you can make staircases in here, it's not like the staircases we have. Okay, so what do we need? What do we need? Oh, good. I like the energy. Okay, what do we need? Let's do it. What do you need? C comes from something. Okay, data. Okay. No, but you're right. No, you're right. It comes from data. And video is best because it has both people and the environment, right? And so that's really the dream. And we've been working on this for a while. So this is the 2018 work, which was like the first paper that we looked at, trained these robots, so simulated animation control robots to imitate. And this is like kind of the videos that we used. Okay, so now, okay, this is the results on the right, but let's focus on the video inputs. What can you actually say about the videos? I had to be very selective when I was picking these videos. Do you see a couple of things? Camera is not moving. Camera is not moving. This one is kind of moving, but it's actually cheating. Camera is not moving and it's all flat, right? And so static camera and the flat floor only. And so that's the real biggest issue with all of the methods that we are developing, which is that HMR, human mesh recovery, is great because, the human pose is really hard. But then we put a bounding box and we're like, let's reconstruct it. We can reconstruct this person. But the moment you do this, you completely lose the sense of the world. Like, how far away are you from the other people? How fast are you moving in the world? And this first order information turns out to be super important for robotics because you really need to know how much you're moving to figure out how much force to put in. But this is really a hard problem and it's super underappreciated. And because if you look at this person in the center, I mean, this person is clearly running across the field, but this person is in the middle because what we see is the combination of human motion and the camera motion. So there's this need to disentangle this. And if you don't disentangle this, you get this results where you're running in place because you're not explaining the camera motion. It's all encoded. So you really need to actually start modeling the camera motion and then get this moving. Then you can actually get this motion. And so this was the lesson from Slammer. I was excited because this is a video that, was getting hard. I thought I couldn't really reconstruct though. I was using a job docs, but I was getting to it. And it even gets different heights of people because in this one you get the floor and the environment contact one that really helps. Okay, so from this, we made the problem slightly easier. To full disclosure, we went multi-view, okay, because of wonderful data sets like Eagle 40, we actually have a 3D data set, I mean multi-view. So the assumption is that the input is multi-view of the scene, and you actually have the correspondences too, which is a big assumption, but yes, let's just see what this can do. And the output is a coherent 3D reconstruction of people and the scene and the cameras. And so naively putting Duster, which is the, we did an off-the-shelf starting point of these point clouds, and humans together, they're floating around. Actually, this is even after our scale things. But after optimization, they are all kind of together. Okay, so really, the nice thing was I've been trying to tell this story for a very long time, and finally we see this synergy between this trifecta. Of course, places and cameras are SFM, like they are the same side of the different coin. The better camera, the better environment. Now the cameras ground people in the world. That was like slammer. And of course, the places, if you had better place, then you can ground people in the environment. But you know what? Actually, people provide things too, and that is the metric scale and the correspondence by the 2D key points. And so you actually incorporate the humans, and this actually helps both the camera and the scene. So if this is like a gym, okay, so it's supposed to be square. Okay, it's not perfectly square, but you can see it's less warped, and the people are placed properly. So this is really just optimization, but maybe this is a nice part, which is that, the scene comes in all different shapes and sizes. So you need to, there's like all kinds of scales. So you really need to align this. And if you don't do this, all the people might be behind the camera and everything. And so what we do is the same trick that we have been using, which is a simple triangle, similar triangles. And so you have all of these pictures. We're going to align it with respect to the people. And then this basically HMR output gives you the camera. And then we align this HMR camera with the duster cameras using Procrustes. And that allows you to kind of put everybody in one place. Okay? All right. And then after that, we do optimization. And interestingly, in this one, we actually didn't use contact constraints because it was multi-view. We didn't need to. And later we need to. So, but before it's kind of floating around. And after it's kind of everybody's touching everything nice. It's much better. And the exciting thing is on the right, some of these numbers are from Duster, so it's quite competitive. Actually doing this optimization again with Duster objective and the human objective, it actually gets much better than Duster and Master, which is actually quite an exciting result. Humans really help as a thing. Okay, so then you can do these exciting things like, who jumped higher? So this is actually a real result we took with 2 cameras. Okay, so that's Tyler and David who's jumping. So who jumped higher? I mean, you cannot tell from a single image. From our reconstruction, you can tell, I think David is slightly higher. Another thing is you can ask questions like, is Tyler closer to Arthur or David? And we love Visor, which is this visualization toolbox. And my student implemented a ruler in a Visor. So you can actually grab something and actually draw from a point to point. And it's actually 1 meter, and Tyler is closer to you. But the point is this is also in some kind of a metric space. Of course, it's not like super perfect metric space, but there is a meaning to this. Okay, so that's that. So that was multiple view, and I'll explain how. But in the latest iteration, we took it to monocular video. So given that video, we were reconstructing both scene, the environment, and the people from a single video. And with this, we could do video mimic. So this is a project that we just released, where the robot is walking around the Berkeley campus. And we really just, the one day when we had time to test it, we really just walked around the campus, and it was really exciting. Okay, so I think this is the first example of like humanoids just walking around in terrains like this with staircases and walking up and down. And like when we deployed this, like, okay, so I'll talk about this. And this is really, big work by Arthur Hong-suk, David, and Jimmy, which is a really big, they're first authors with Anthony and Changmin, and as professors, they really worked well together. And so one thing about this is actually it's in sim to real, but I think idea that I think is really cool is this fact that we titled our thing Visual Imitation Enables Contextual Control. Okay, what is contextual control? What I mean by contextual control is that given a route direction, okay, I want you to go forward. If there is the robot figures out how to interact with the environment. Okay, so if I go forward and there's a chair, they'll be like, okay, let me shimmy up and sit on it. Okay, if there's a staircase, it will figure out to do it on its own. Okay, so that's what's kind of being shown on the video in real time on the right. So this is no longer taking any reference motions as to where the hand joint needs to be, which is actually quite important because when you're putting it in the wild, I mean, you literally can't really do it. Like, what is the right motion? Like, you don't really know unless you have the perfect replica of the world, which you don't. And you wouldn't be able to go on like unseen or slightly different staircases. And okay, this robot has a LiDAR height map of 11 by 11. And it decides to walk up and down and sit. Okay, so so this is all in one go. Okay, there's no button of sitting up and down. And so I think that's actually really the exciting part that we weren't sure we could get to. And this is trained on 123 human video demonstration. And so how did we do this? So we collected human video demonstrations of people interacting with the environment, and we reconstructed. And so here are some of the reconstructions with novel views. It also actually works with multiple people as far as the SAM2 detection identification goes. Okay, and so once you reconstruct it, then you train in simulator with reconstruction. Okay, so that's really the big idea, but let's kind of dive into this. So what's really important in reconstruction is that we do this in the world coordinate frame. We actually have to recover scene that is usable in a simulator, so not a point cloud, not a point cloud, but a mesh. And then we also want to resolve the embodiment gap. Okay, so the pre-processing, shout out to all the off-the-shelf libraries like Tram, the Bistro, VIT Pose, and Megasam. And Megasam really was a game changer, and I'm going to talk about this later today at the 4D reconstruction workshop. We do a joint reconstruction. This is very similar to the HSFM multi-view work that I was just talking about, where we align the scale and you optimize the humans. We don't actually touch the cameras here because it's only a single video. But the major difference is that, this one doesn't have human motion prior like Slammer. We are kind of relying on like the point clouds that the Megasam actually outputs as to where to place the people. And then we have like smoothness. It would be great to replace this with the motion prior, but these models have lots of data, so that they're starting to work. Okay, now then you have to actually optimize your human shape to be close to the G1 proportions because G1 is a lot smaller. So you kind of update your poses, so you change your betas. And then now you have to move them to the state configurations of the robots. They don't have the same number of joints as simple. And then here is a plug for our new library called Pyroki, which is basically like PyTorch for all types of contact and human, not humans, but like, kinematic retargeting, inverse kinematic tasks. But we meshify the point clouds with NKSR. It's a very nice method. I like the theory behind it. And then we estimate the gravity with geocalibration by running it on the first. So there's lots of steps, to get to it. And every one of these steps is certainly lossy. Okay, so that gives us this world frame 40 outputs, and we don't use this yet, but our framework allows eagle view rendering, as I'm pointing out in this red arrow, and that would be a really cool direction to, next, like Chris was showing, to train your robots with RGB inputs. Okay, but of course, perception is not the end of the story. There's one thing to perceiving the angles, and the other is to actuate the muscle to get to the pose. And it's kind of funny because actuation is actually joint angles, and it's the PD controller that does the torque, but still, you really need to do it in a physics-aware state. And so this only has joint angles that are not physically aware. You really need actions, which is also joint angles that is compatible with physics of the robot and the world, which we do with RL. And the RL objective is that there's a reference and you want to minimize the error between the joints. Okay, and the reward is to get low error. So this is same as deep mimic, except let's say, or PHC or pulse, which is like a goal conditioned policy. So policy takes state proprioception and also gets what it should do. This is like all the joints of what the next time step should be with a blank canvas. And then this is deep mimic. And we actually do, we train this, and this is called tracking in the literature, this world. And we do mocap pre-training. So we take, data from motion capture. and pre-train our policy. And this was quite important because our data is noisy. And so, pre-training made RL conversion much faster. Once you do the pre-training with RL, then you put this height map. This is also actually in deep mimic, but of course it's different type of height map that comes from real data. This is an interesting great visualization that describes the tracking. So the red dots are the input reference, right? So this one is just memorizing during training, this particular sequence. The blue robot is actually the actual policy output. It's really interesting when it's about to step onto the staircase, you get this sudden motion because you got to push hard, and that's what you're sending to the PD controller. The gray is what actually comes out of the PD controller. Okay, so that's I think this is a really neat visualization to understand how these things are happening. Okay, so the problem with the tracking is that you need instruction to track at every joint level like you saw. But then it's kind of okay in the flat ground plane. But with an environment interaction, this becomes a problem because you don't know what you should really give it. And how are you gonna do it? Like, I mean, you can shadow it, but then it's kind of hard to shadow next to a thing. And anyway, really, the goal is you let the policy figure this out on its own. And so then there is this replacement of the sref. We get rid of the reference and we replace it to just a direction from the root. Okay, then this way that this robot figures out what to do. And this is what we call as generalist policy because we don't really need to tell it what to do. This is trained by distillation right now. I supervise training with Dagger. You basically do the stage ones, and a previous stage guides this one. And so in summary, this is all of the steps of learning the policy, which is like you do pre-training, and then you do the tracking with the geometry, root, and the proprioception, and the joint targets. You remove the joint targets. We actually do a final round of RO, which helps. Okay, so here are some zero-shot sim to real results. Going up the staircase, and some of these that I guess you kind of saw. Sorry, unfortunately that didn't play, but there's a lot of video results on our website, so please check it out. Okay, so it's exciting, but there's like lots and lots of rooms for improvement. Sorry for the big text drop. Okay, so monocular 4D reconstruction is still quite brittle. Megasam, aligner, monster cuter, etc. all results in slightly duplicate ghost layers when the camera drifts slightly. And the slide can be bad for sim because when you convert it to mesh, it's not good. And this is really a problem of the meshifier. If the meshifier can figure this out, because perceptually it looks pretty good. The feet can be buried to the ground, and the low texture regions are still hard. If there's a hole, which there is going to be a hole, you don't really know how to fill it. I really think this like meshifying is kind of important. Retargeting, you kind of want to listen to the contact, but you don't really want to at the same time. The contact optimized prediction is not perfect because it's from images. LiDAR is super low resolution. The simulator really needs to be improved. There's so many ways to hack it. We only use 123 clips, and we should scale this. I think if we had another month, we could have gone to like 500 or 1,000. And I think the lesson is that every single stage in real to sim to real is lossful. And so I think there's a lot of opportunities to improve this. Okay, so, the robot does look a little bit inebriated. And so I want to give you some exhibits as a excuse to show my baby videos. So here, this is a video when she first took her step. This is in January 26th. It's exciting. Okay, so this video is the first time walking outside with shoes. Okay, and it looks very much like our G1. And this is like, yeah, cuter, definitely cuter. This is like sim to sim kind of like transfer because she was walking super well in the house. But the moment you put her in the shoes, this is like a new whole thing, and then she walks like our robot right now. And okay, here's another more videos. Bonus, no, think she's really cute. I'm sorry. Thank you for sharing, letting me share this video. But it took another 2 months, and it's like, okay, it's only 2 months, okay? But I still think it's okay. It's definitely faster than like the current RL stuff. But I still think it's not like instant, you know? So it's kind of interesting. Okay, last but not least, we're really into making useful tools. So Nerf Studio is from our group, G-Splat. But the real push that I really want to do is Visor. So all of the projects that we've done without Visor, I mean, we wouldn't have been able to do it. And Visor is like the most important thing. Who uses Visor? Who knows about this? Okay, it's good. Some Visor fans. Okay, without Visor, you really should be using Visor. Visor is a web-based 3D visualization Python toolbox. You anything you want and you can move it around. It's a web or it's a web interface. And it works for, point clouds or human bodies. The exciting are starting to integrate Visor with robotics. And so Pyroki is also implemented with Visor. You're solving IK, you get to see all of these things. This is Isaac Gym, so you can actually connect your simulator to Visor, which is a huge win because if you have been working on this, you gotta be with your laptop, which has the GP OpenGL, then your students can now work from their home or wherever they are. That's it. But okay, you can tune your things. Okay, so this is still Isaac Gym, and the last one is Mujoko, and you can parallel all of these things. You can actually like do a live robot example as we were developing deep mimic, a video mimic. This is Visor seeing this. It's so great to be able to visualize this. And of course, we're using it to show all of our results on our website in an interactive way. And like if you actually use Visor, as long as the local server is alive, it generates a shareable link. So you can share a link to your advisor, and now they have to instantly actually respond. You get to actually just look at it. I mean, it's like I think it's Visor major push. Okay, Pyroki is this PyTorch for robots, for all kinds of robots, for them to do like IK without collision or contact constraints. It's really like putting everything together because they're all the same optimization problems. And this is essentially what we used to go from this kind of reconstruction to humanoid retargeting. Okay. All right. So with that, really, I want to say a big thank you to my group and collaborators because it's really, really a lot of their work. And thank you. Any questions? Or maybe we are lunchtime. I'm happy to take a question, but I guess no questions. Okay. All right. Okay, thank you.